this week's drive, we get sideways, backwards and tag the wall. Try out the best seat in the house. Take to the desert sands. And test ride new toys. All this and more in this week's Drive. We start with the 34th round of the NASCAR Series and a clean start to the Pop Secret 400 at the Rockingham track in North Carolina. The race sponsored by Microwave Popcorn.
At least we don't see that frantic dive for the bottom of the racetrack.
On the 22nd lap, Bobby Hamilton was the first major casualty when he spun out and slid across the track directly into the path of Mike Wallace. TV replays suggested Hamilton might have been tapped from behind. Lap 246. If the race ended now, Mark Martin would be 53 points off leader Tony Stewart in second place. It was not a good day for Ward Burton. Running in 29th place, he also spun out, hitting the outside wall before sliding precariously across the track. Amazingly, he wasn't hit by oncoming traffic. In the closing stages of the race, Johnny Benson duelled with Martin for top honours.
Before or after?
Benson took the lead with 28 laps remaining and held on to win by a quarter of a second. It was Benson's first NASCAR win in 226 starts. He came back from 2 separate rib injuries this year that sidelined him for 6 races and became the 18th different winner of 2002 and the 5th first-time winner of the year. Jaguar Formula One is hoping to reverse the dreadful year the team has endured by appointing 2 new drivers. Australian Mark Webber and Brazilian newcomer Antonio Pizzonio are replacing Pedro Della Rosa and Eddie Irvine. Webber scored 2 points for Minardi at his debut Grand Prix at home in Australia. The pair were welcomed to the team's headquarters in Milton Keynes near London by their new boss, Niki Lauda.
Basically a new start, because I think the whole team needs a new start, especially after our dreadful season this year. So basically it was logic to me to start with 2 brand new drivers, give the whole team a big spirit, working for new guys, start all over again. I think this was the main decision here.
The Ford-owned team managed just 8 championship points this year.
No, I don't think so, because first of all, both drivers tested with us the Jaguar car. So we evaluated them. I've seen the speed of them. They're doing very good times, Mark and Pizzonia. So from this point of view, I don't see a problem. Both of them have to prove. Mark now hopefully will be in a competitive car the first time in his life, so he has to make sure he can show his potential. And the same is with Antonio. He's coming from the jungle in Brazil in his first Formula One season, so hopefully they will push each other.
Webber scored his 2 points for Minardi in his debut race in Melbourne in March. And for the first time since 1980 world champion Alan Jones retired, Australia has a driver in Formula One. Does he think that he'll be scoring more points next year?
I think so, for sure. With our big winter program coming up, this will be a great step forward for 2003 for me.
Talking about winter, he's resident in England.
I am, yeah. Big difference to Australia, of course, but the winter here will be down in Spain, mostly testing the car. But yeah, the team obviously based here in the UK, so I'm going to stay here this year in England and stay close to the team.
Looking forward to Melbourne and the start of the F1 season in March?
Yeah, well, Melbourne's always got 4 seasons in one day, so you know, it's nice to get back there and get a little bit of sun.
Can he win the World Championship like Sir Jack Brabham and Alan Jones?
I've got a long way to go until I do anything close to what those 2 achieved. I got an email from Jack the other day to congratulate me, so that was very nice. And yeah, I've got a lot more stripes to put on my sleeve before I can stand next to those guys.
Pizzonia was a test driver with Williams Formula One this year.
Well, I'm really happy to be part of the team, and I'm looking forward to the new season, and hopefully we'll be able to work together and make things happen in here. I'm really happy to be here.
How does he feel about racing a car he's had the opportunity to test only once, and the team that surrounds it?
Well, I think it was a very good test in Barcelona we did. There's a lot of work to be done, and I think there's a lot of potential in here, and everybody's working really hard. So I'm quite confident next year's car is going to be a lot better than this year.
With extensive wind tunnel work and new brains in the design department, 2003 should see an improved car in the hands of the new drivers when the season starts in March. Jordan Formula One fans were treated to an exclusive insight into the running of the team when 1,000 Club Jordan members were invited to visit Jordan Grand Prix Silverstone headquarters at the end of the racing season. For those wanting a taste of the action, a giant Scalextric model racing car track and high-tech simulators were set up so fans could try the closest thing to driving an F1 car. There was also the opportunity for people to try their hand at changing wheels in a timed pit stop simulation. Jordan staff prepared workshop displays to explain the roles of their various departments, enabling fans to gain a deeper understanding of what goes on back at the team's headquarters. The pattern shop is where the designs are turned into actual components for use on the cars. Engineers use complex computer-aided design systems to create the high-tech parts which make up a modern Formula One car in record time. There was even a display of the evolution of the humble steering wheel, now a major and expensive part of how the driver operates the car. Some club members were treated to probably their ultimate Formula One experience, actually sitting in one of the multi-million-dollar machines they normally only see on TV.
It's really, really interesting. I loved all the technology. I just didn't know what goes on behind the scenes, and I found that more interesting than anything else. I mean, obviously seeing the cars is absolutely wonderful, and it's like a dream come true, actually sitting in one. But just knowing what goes on behind the scenes, I just didn't have a clue.
The steering wheel now controls almost all the functions of the car.
The hardest part is the leg position. You can see the way you're sitting in the car. You think you can't drive a car like that.
Jordan's shop was doing a brisk trade in models of past and present cars. Dedicated fans have a full collection of models of all the cars since the team started in 1991. 12 of the real Jordan F1 cars, one from each year, were on display at the factory. Guests also had the opportunity to view inside the team's motorhome, which houses Eddie Jordan's office and is used for hosting VIPs in the paddock of every European race on the F1 calendar. A main marquee on the front lawn of Jordan's grounds featured presentations about the team from senior managers, and there were special live telephone links with team boss Eddie Jordan and current drivers Takuma Sato and Giancarlo Fisichella. Fans were able to buy team merchandise, memorabilia and items such as VIP Paddock Club guest packs. The team's photographer took guests' pictures with this year's EJ12 racer, the ultimate takeaway memento. Drive goes to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates for the UAE Desert Challenge, the final round of both the FIA and FIM World Championships for cross-country rallies. Biker Cyril Dupre led off the ramp. 121 entrants from 29 countries were flagged away by Sheikh Nasser bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Hiroshi Masuoka has a new prototype Mitsubishi. The event headed deep into the Abu Dhabi desert to Hamim for a 313-kilometer competitive section to finish east of Liva.
This rally, I am concentrated test drive for the development of this car, but I will good make a result.
In the car category, former biking star turned car racer Stefan Peterhansel also had one of the new Mitsubishis. With co-driver Jean-Paul Cottret, the Frenchman drew first blood over the testing opening section in the second Pajero. Despite rolling his Pajero 100 kilometers into the stage, Masuoka finished less than 7 minutes adrift of his teammate. Although a major event in itself, the Desert Challenge forms a useful test bed for the upcoming Paris-Dakar Marathon. This will be the first real examination for a car tested extensively in Morocco prior to the event. After his roll, which caused slight damage to the roof and bodywork, Masuoka lost further time with a flat tyre, but maintained second position. The UAE's Khalifa Al-Matawi was in flying form in the Team Dossord Nissan pickup, despite finishing the stage on 3 tyres and wheel rim. Al-Matawi held third overall ahead of the Mitsubishi trio of Jean-Pierre Fontenay, Mickey Biasion and Portugal's Carlos Sousa. Last year's winning bike rider, Frenchman Cyril Dupre, finished the grueling section in searing heat, just 5 seconds behind stage winner Alfie Cox. Al-Matawi dropped back to 5th overall on day 2, having taken over 90 minutes to replace a lost wheel. The honour of being the first Arab driver home on the second leg fell to Saeed Al-Hamali, 6th on the day and 7th overall. 6 times Paris-Dakar winner Peter Hansel led after Masuoka was plagued by an overheating rear axle. But Peter Hansel damaged the front of his car after a hard nose-first landing when he crested a dune, but despite this, extended his lead over French rival Jean-Pierre Fontenay to just under 40 minutes.
Yes, we jumped a big dune and the car stopped in the nose. But it's okay. The mechanic, no problem, only...
Khalid Khamis gave the home fans plenty to cheer about in the bike category. He was fastest on the day and as a result moved up to 3rd overall on his Honda. Overnight leader Alfie Cox finished the second day in 3rd place. He came in behind Dupre and the Frenchman and the South African swapped places at the top of the overall leaderboard with a 2-minute gap. Temperatures in the desert varied greatly with biting cold at night and blistering heat during the day. Across the tricky dune ranges, victory on the 3rd day again went to Dupre, who blasted to a near 9-minute advantage over his veteran South African rival Cox. The two, both riding KTMs, extended the gap to Khamis by over 15 minutes. In the car category, Mitsubishi's Stefan Peter Hansel remained on course for victory, despite finishing the stage behind his teammates Hiroshi Masuoka of Japan and Italian Mickey Biasion. The car is the latest Mitsubishi cross-country vehicle, which was unveiled at the Paris Motor Show in September. It was derived from the Pajero Evo 2+2 concept car. Peter Hansel's teammate Jean-Pierre Fontenay held 2nd place in the 2002 specification Pajero, although Masuoka, who had been 2nd, dropped back with an overheating transmission. Al-Hamani of Abu Dhabi was the highest placed local driver, finishing the day 4th overall, behind Mickey Biasion of Italy. However, the mood in the bivouac at Liva was subdued by the news of a tragic incident that claimed the life of the German rider Michael Sierfeldt on Thursday evening. It was the first fatality in the 12-year history of the event. On the final day, the challenge developed into a French benefit, with Dupre riding his KTM to a 2nd consecutive win in the bike category, and Peter Hansel giving the new Pajero Evo victory on its world debut. Both started the final 405-kilometre section from Liva and eased to victory over the final stage, a combination of dune crossings and high-speed roads. Khalid Khamis picked up the medal for 3rd place in the bike section. His Honda was the only bike in the top 6 which wasn't a KTM. Cox again finished 2nd. He was runner-up on this year's Dakar too. After refueling, I noticed there were no tracks in the sand. Maybe Cyril was lost, so I really pushed for the last 80 kilometres. He eventually found his way, caught me up, and we finished the stage shoulder to shoulder, he said later. Issa Al-Hamrani won the T1 category and finished 6th overall at the wheel of his Mitsubishi Pajero. The UAE team beating drivers of the calibre of Frenchman Thierry Magnoli and the Mercedes ML430. Mickey Biasion claimed 3rd place, beating the next nearest finisher by over 3.5 hours. Jean-Pierre Fontenay and Gilles Picard were just 7 minutes ahead of their teammates, also in a 2002 specification Pajero. Peter Hansel finished fourth on the final stage behind Masuoka, Nissan driver Khalifa Al-Moutawi and Fontenay, but he was delighted with his first win and Mitsubishi's 1-2-3 in the UAE Desert Challenge. Masuoka beat his overheating problems to finish strongly. It was a very fast stage. I made speeds up to 191 kilometers an hour, said the Japanese star. It's been a really nice rally, a good test. Since the 2002 MotoGP season ended, various rider team changes have taken place, including Max Biaggi's move to Honda. Several teams stayed in Valencia after the Spanish Grand Prix, keen to test the bikes they'll be riding next season. The Italian doesn't expect to get to grips with his new 990cc four-stroke Honda straight away.
It takes time to find experience on this machine, but I have some my personal idea, and I think I'm happy with the decision.
Sete Gibernau will partner Japan's Daijiro Kato at the Telefonica movie star Honda team next year, and was also riding a Honda RC211V for the first time. The Spaniard was pleased with his first ride on a bike that won 14 of last season's 16 races. Alex Barros, who dashed Valentino Rossi's hopes of equaling Mick Doohan's record for most wins in a single season by winning the Spanish Grand Prix, is now a Yamaha man. The 32-year-old Brazilian finished his Honda career in victorious style and is confident of continuing his winning ways for Yamaha. Barros is already setting his sights on Rossi's title.
I'm very, very happy in that moment in my life, and to help Yamaha. I think Yamaha can give me the great opportunity for fight for the championship next year.
Australian riders Andrew Pitt and Gary McCoy have moved to Kawasaki.
Finally got a four-stroke, finally ridden one now. It's all good. Everything, just taking it smoothly and calm, and just didn't want to do anything silly today.
McCoy, renowned for his spectacular style and lurid slides on a two-stroke, was soon singing the praises of his new bike. Pitt is the reigning Supersport World Champion. Kawasaki have been out of Grand Prix racing for years, and their superbike efforts have been fruitless recently. Loris Capirossi made his first appearance on a Ducati. The Italian rode a completely white bike and appeared to find his first laps on the four-stroke Ducati quite difficult. But Capirossi was glad to have made the switch from his old two-stroke Honda.
Today is a fantastic day for me because I have the first opportunity to ride a four-stroke bike.
Capirossi will be joined by Troy Bayliss at Ducati. Bayliss, the 2001 Superbike World Champion, will make his MotoGP debut next year, but the 33-year-old Australian faces a tough off-season as he gets acquainted with a bike that is both lighter and more powerful than the superbikes that he's used to. His arch-rival and new World Superbike champion Colin Edwards has also switched to the rival MotoGP Championship with Italian team Aprilia for next season. The 28-year-old Texan, seen here racing at Kyalami in South Africa, rode a Honda to the world title in 2000 and 2002. Colin will be joined by another rival from Superbikes, Japan's Noriyuki Haga, who finished fourth in last season's championship for Aprilia. Haga has previously raced both Superbikes and Grand Prix with the Works Yamaha team. Texan Edwards won his second Superbike title with Honda in the last round of the series at Imola, after winning the last 9 races of the season to overhaul defending champion Troy Bayliss. The top category of Grand Prix racing opened up to the bigger four-stroke bikes after a rule change ended the 500cc limit this season. Frenchman Regis Laconi raced an Aprilia in MotoGP this year, and the Italian factory will concentrate all their efforts on MotoGP after pulling out of Superbikes. The biggest German freestyle motocross arena event ever took to the air in Oberhausen, Germany, with 18 riders from the international scene performing spectacular tricks in front of 7,000 spectators. Among the big names who took part were top riders such as Australia's Dane Kinnaird, the eventual freestyle winner, Jimmy Verberg of Belgium, Canadian Benoit Milot, and Fabian Bauersachs of Germany. One of the highlights of the evening was the Cybershot U highest air competition. This is the motorcycling equal of high jump. First, Jimmy Verberg soared over the bar with space to spare. Getting over was the aim, the landing wasn't important. After each successful attempt, the bar was racked up higher and higher. Canadian Benoit Milot was his only competition and even managed to stay on his bike. Eventually, they both cleared the 8.3-metre mark and shared the highest air gold. But the main event was the freestyle competition, a cross between motorcycle stunt riding and gymnastics, with a dose of showmanship thrown in. The battle saw all the riders fighting it out to take home part of the $19,000 purse set for the contest. This is the final run for Germany's Fabian Bauersachs. He finished second. In the end, a winner had to be chosen, and it was Australian Dane Kinnaird who was the man of the evening and came out on top with a total of 157 points. Successfully landing after a vertical mid-air handstand over his vertical bike had the crowd roaring and made him a clear-cut winner. Dane's artistic outback riding style was a hit with the crowd and the judges. Maybe with the prize money, he can replace those goggles and his back mud guard. Come the end of summer, many English people are usually out enjoying the last few days of sunshine, tidying up the garden and putting away the garden furniture. But for around 50 individuals on an early October Sunday, there's an opportunity to go home with a racing trophy to their name. Not Formula One, rally cars or superbikes, but lawnmowers. Some take it more seriously than others. The Teletubbies aren't expecting to feature, but the Pink Rabbit is a dark horse. The Countach Challenge Cup is a 6-hour endurance race where teams battle it out over a half-mile course, with all the proceeds from the race going to a children's charity. The hard, bumpy course, dust, and a moment's lapse in concentration. Luckily, no harm done. The dry, sunny conditions enjoyed by the 2,000 spectators meant that the track kicked up a lot of dust, which, with the confusing track layout, made it more difficult for the drivers to negotiate their way around the hairpin bends and past their rivals. Lawnmower racing started in West Sussex in the early 70s. A man named Jim Garvin was discussing with a few friends an alternative and cheaper form of motor racing. Many ideas were discussed: motorised bar stools, wheelbarrows, and then the lawnmower was put into the equation, and the idea was hatched. Lawnmower racing is now an international sport, with racing in America, Australia and Europe. Each team has 4 drivers and a pit crew to ensure the mowers are refueled and kept running throughout the race. It might not quite meet Formula One safety regulations, but hey, it works. Victory went to Northerners Kick Grass from Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, a team we've seen on Drive before. They romped home, completing 533 laps in the 6-hour period, also setting the fastest lap time. In second place were Rainbow Racers from Oxfordshire, who finished 523 laps. The winners added the Countach Challenge trophy to their silverware, since they had already won the annual 12-hour endurance race earlier this year. It's not exactly Formula One, but drivers do take it every bit as seriously as Schumacher. Having gone from the fastest to the slowest, that's all for this week. But so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.